All right, everybody. Welcome to whatever this is with Hawk, exclusively for our YouTube page. I wanted to mention to everybody we got new merch in our merch store at hawkmerchstore.com. We have two new, incredibly beautiful designs. So please go check that out at hawkmerchstore.com. Okay, let's talk about debate reactions. I've tried to compile some reactions that I think are valid and worthwhile. And one, people ask me a lot, like, where do you get your news? One of the places I've been getting my news and commentary for the last 20 years at least is a website called Talking Points Memo, TPM. It's run by a guy named Josh Marshall. His opinion stuff is really, I think, in line with mine, and he writes stuff that makes me think all the time. And he's got just an amazing staff of wonderful reporters, and they do good, serious journalism over there as well, in addition to the opinion stuff. He wrote a great piece Wednesday morning following the debate, just titled, "No One Has Ever So Thoroughly Dominated Donald Trump." I agree with that. He writes, "I feel obligated to note at the top that you can win a debate and lose the election. Donald Trump is not a momentary candidate. He has a big national political following that has remained loyal over almost a decade. Nothing happened Tuesday night that is going to shake the confidence of his supporters because they're fucking morons and they're gullible and they don't understand things that they actually see or hear. They think he won." I can't tell you how many TikToks I've seen from Trump supporters saying that he kicked Kamala Harris's ass at that debate. They are morons. They are the stupidest people among us. But with that said, this debate was an absolute rout. Harris had a minute or two of nerves in her opening statement, but from the very first exchange, she maintained the initiative, kept Trump on the defensive the entire time, and simply dominated him. I don't see any way to contest that basic verdict. She set the tone with the handshake, and she also managed what neither Joe Biden nor Hillary Clinton nor any of the 2016 Republicans managed to do, which was to successfully bait Trump and get under his skin. Within a few minutes, Trump was visibly angry, and not in a way that empowered him, but in a way that made him lose focus, go down rabbit holes, and generally go off onto damaging tangents. Spittle anger, not righteous anger, shall we say. And just think about it. I mean, compare his issue on abortion to her answer on abortion. Her answer on abortion was like a laser-guided missile that just took him out. It was insane. And she just had to bait him. It's like she would give a substantive answer and then just throw in something about crowd size. And he was off to the races screaming and yelling and pointing about crowd sizes. And she baited him and baited him and baited him on immigration issues until he finally was like, "They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. The people who came here are eating everybody's pets." And every 70 million people are watching that going, huh? He lost his fucking mind on national television because of her. David Frum writes for The Atlantic. He wrote a great piece, a little turn of phrase, "How Harris Roped a Dope." Harris hit pain point after pain point after pain point. Trump's bankruptcies, the disdain of generals who served with him, the boredom and early exits of crowds at his shrinking rallies. Every hit was followed by an ouch. Trump's counterpunches flailed and missed. Harris met them with smiling mockery and cool amusement. Remember that split screen? The debate was often a battle of eyelids. Harris's opened wide, Trump's squinting and tightening. Harris's debate prep seemed to have concentrated on psychology as much as policy. She drove Trump and trapped him and baited him, and it worked every single time. Jonathan V. Last, one of the senior guys at the Bulwark, who, one of the things that I appreciate about him is he's a pessimist and a contrarian. Well, I guess that's two things. But he's been fully on board the Kamala Harris bus since day one. And he wrote, even though he's a Republican and has been his entire life, he wrote an article that was simply titled, "What More Do You People Want from Kamala Harris?" You never know if a politician can play on the national stage until they do it. Sometimes a promising candidate pops. Sometimes they're Ron DeSantis. What a great line, man. At every turn over the last 7 weeks, Harris popped from her first speech at the campaign headquarters in Delaware to the first big rally to her convention speech to the debate. She has answered the call every single time. She is not coasting. She is not simply existing as a non-octogenarian alternative to Trump. She is waging a smart, vigorous campaign and executing at a very high level. And then he had some observations about the debate itself. He and I agree. The moderators did a good job. They fact-checked Trump 4 times. He told 33 lies. They fact-checked him 4 times. That was it, which means, there were conservative commentators on Wednesday who said that the debate moderators should be arrested, charged, and prosecuted for making an illegal campaign contribution to Kamala Harris's campaign, because they fact-checked him 4 times and asked him hard questions. They asked her hard questions, too. The reason she didn't get fact-checked 4 times is because she didn't lie 33 times. Not that hard to figure out, but apparently it's very hard for the chuds to figure out. ABC did a great job. As for the conservatives who are upset that ABC would point out Trump's lies, there is a simple remedy. Don't nominate as your presidential candidate an ignoramus who lies pathologically. ABC didn't make Trump the nominee. Republican voters did. Take it up with those very fine people. If Donald Trump can't stand up to 4 fact checks from David Muir and Lindsey Davis, then surely he's not capable of handling the demands of the presidency and facing down the Vladimir Putins of the world. Ouch. Pete Wehner, Wehner, very conservative. I think he worked in the Reagan administration, the George H.W. Bush administration. Very evangelical, very Christian, very conservative. He wrote an article entitled "Kamala Harris Broke Donald Trump." I've been watching presidential debates since 1976, and I've been peripherally involved in a few, and I've never seen a candidate execute a debate strategy as well as Harris did. The night for Harris supporters went better than even the most optimistic among them could have hoped for. For Trump supporters, it was not just a defeat, but a public humiliation. The crushing comeuppance they probably secretly feared might one day arrive, but until now, never quite had. What Harris appeared to understand better than anyone else who has debated Trump is that the key to defeating him is to trigger him psychologically, which she did a masterful job of. A guy named Bill Schur wrote an article that just said, Kamala Harris is good at this. The greatest difficulty when debating a bully like Donald Trump is sticking to your game plan despite a barrage of disorientating lies and low blows. Kamala Harris not only adhered to her plan, she repeatedly derailed Trump from executing his. Journalist Michael Tomasky, fantastic title to this article, "The Beginning of Donald Trump's Final Unraveling." Let's think about that for a second. Kamala Harris was really good Tuesday night. Really, really good. She accomplished everything she needed to accomplish. She sliced and diced him. She dangled bait, and he leapt at the hook. But as good as she was, Trump was more bad than Harris was good. Or maybe he was so bad because she was so good. That is to say, she wrong-footed him time after time after time in ways that President Joe Biden did not, throwing Trump off his game, staring him down, speaking directly to him, challenging him, saying you and pointing right at him. She spanked him. Said Stephanie Ruhle, MSNBC host, in a judgment Trump would consider crushing, she beat him at the business of television. Boy, howdy. Ain't that the truth? One amazing article that I read, again, Bulwark, Tim Miller for the Bulwark. So, Tim Miller, who was a Republican campaign strategist, he worked on at least 2 presidential campaigns. I think he was part of the McCain campaign. He was part, he was part of Mitt Romney's campaign, and he was part of Jeb Bush's campaigns at like very, very senior levels. And, you know, he was in the room with the candidates. He was helping with debate prep. He was communications director. I mean, he was there. And now he's a never Trumper, and he works at the Bulwark. So he was in the spin room the whole night. So when you have a debate like this, you have the debate, the candidates leave, and then each campaign has surrogates that will talk to the press about the debate that just happened and talk up their candidate while saying negative things about the other candidate. Donald Trump flipped that on his head because he knows he lost, and following this debate, he went into the spin room himself, which candidates don't do. That smacks of narcissistic desperation for attention, which is exactly what that was for Trump. And there was one scene, Trump walks in, and reporters are asking him questions, and Tim Miller is just like yelling at the top of his lungs at the back of this scrum, "Why wouldn't you even look at her? Why wouldn't you even look at her?" To the point where it's like you can't hear Trump's answers to the questions. Tim Miller is a little, irreverent, and he's absolutely a shit disturber. But the point is, it's like all of these Republican surrogates and campaign people, Tim Miller has known them all for 15 years from prior campaigns and from prior dealings with conservative media when he was running Republican campaigns, or a part of them. And so he goes into the spin room and he runs into Lindsey Graham. And he's asking Lindsey some questions, and he talks about this on one of their podcasts this week. He was like, Lindsey Graham got fucking pissed and started screaming at him. And he's like, "You should be ashamed of yourself." Just starts screaming, and they get super heated. And Tim tries to bring the temperature down a little bit. Lindsey Graham is red-faced, and they bring the temperature down. They fist bump each other, and then that's when Lindsey Graham kind of gave his candid assessment of the night that Trump's performance was a disaster. He was unprepared, and his debate team should be fired. So that's the scoop. That's the news that Tim Miller got. It's a great article, man. It's a really great article. It's called Inside Trump's Spin Room from Hell. You can find it on the website The Bulwark, Bulwark. And I strongly encourage everybody to subscribe to that site. I love that site. All right. Thank you for joining me for this episode of whatever the hell this is with Hawk. And that's a roundup of debate reactions. I'm recording this on the afternoon of Friday, September 13th. I hope everybody has an amazing and fun and safe weekend. Don't get arrested. I'll see you guys next week.